Hey beauty babes, it is Corinne in Soulshift Channeling. I am here today for another pick a pile Akashic Record reading. Basically what I do is I work with the Akashic Records, which Google it if you haven't already, but it's just this divine and infinite place of knowing. It's very tuned in to soul ties, to soul tethers. Often what I do in my practice is I work with people one-on-one and open their soul's Akashic record to get really fine-tuned guidance from their higher self space, from basically the part where you become differentiated from source, because we all go back to source, we all come from source, God, universe, and we're all fragments of the whole. So that's how it works. What I usually do is what I always do is I say a blessing, and I will get opening imagery that comes through at the beginning. I will share that opening imagery with you guys, and then you can choose a pile. We're gonna do 3 today: broccoli, peas, and carrots. Just like to mix it up a little bit: broccoli, peas, and carrots. So go ahead and tune in to that. Join me for the opening information that comes through, and then we'll get right down to it. All right, my loves, thanks for joining for the collective message. The first thing I see here, well, a couple of things. So I see the fog clearing. I see you in the kind of fog that almost gets condensation on your clothes, like in water droplets, with like wearing a raincoat. It's the kind of fog that would gather on your poncho or raincoat. And I see this clearing. I feel like we've been through, I feel like there has been an emotionally tumultuous time, but that many of us tuning into this moment here have come through relatively dry. Like, it's not like you got caught out and about without your raincoat. The raincoat was there still. You might have identified some like leaks at the seams, or like where you would maybe zip it up all the way. And there's also something to be said for like the perspiration that sometimes happens when you're wearing a water barrier. Although I'm seeing like, yes, there are vents in them sometimes. Some rain jackets have like vents in the armpits, or like where we would often sweat up a lot. And I see for some of you, learning how to kind of get the proper ventilation when you're going through foggy spaces. So how that translates is like if you're going through confusing or not tumultuous necessarily, but just times where you can't really see that far in front of you. You're going into the fog. It's kind of a denseness. It's tight. It's like holds you close. And you don't really see much more than 1 or 2 feet in front of you, or 1 foot and a couple of steps ahead. It's important that when you go through these experiences to find a way to like crack a vent, so to speak. Like, what do you need to do for your emotional upkeep to kind of get a cross breeze in your life? Like, what kind of practices need to come into play for you, so that way you can traverse this time more comfortably. Like, nothing bad is happening, but it's just, you can be more comfortable. Another large part of you are already pretty comfortable. You have your practices, you have your rhythms, you have your routines. And this is kind of akin to the, the armpit vent. And what I'm hearing this allows you to do also, is there is kind of a breeze, like it exposes you to the elements in a way, right? If you have holes or a vent in your raincoat, but it's really important, valuable information, right? It's something that can clue you into the external temperature a lot more, right? Because in your raincoat, you kind of make your own little microbiome, and your body heat usually jacks the temperature up. But having a keener awareness of what the environment is holding can be really valuable, as many of us are practitioners, and keeping a pulse on the collective experience is a valuable tool in our practice. Okay, the last thing I see there So the fog is clearing, we're coming out of it. Don't put your raincoat up just yet, but it's just like a space to take a breather, and it feels less like, it feels like a time to kind of connect and look and see the people around us before heading into the fog again as a collective group, or as, and I'm getting chills right now, with a more collective understanding, recognizing that we're not walking alone, but we are walking in tandem and with a group of people. The benefit of walking with a group of people I'm seeing as we come up to this break time now is like we all have different snacks. We all have different resources and tools. Some of us are packing propane tanks and camp stoves, right? Others of us are carrying water. There's just a value to bringing the skills that you know how to use well and allowing yourself to share and others to share with you. Because like, let's say you're really good at you're really good at heating things up. You're really good at like getting the fire going. You're really good at stoking the flames, right? That's what you bring. You don't need to be lugging and carrying water, because if you're lugging and carrying water, you might not have the energy to do your skill really well when it comes time to being used. Whereas someone who is really good at carrying water, they have the ability to go long distances and work hard over long periods of time where they might need to rest when it's time to collect as a group. But it's good, their job is done. And this is important to understand, that we're not all going to be operating in the same way. You guys know this, but it's just a reminder, not only for ourselves, but to speak to others. We're not going to be operating in the same way. And so to allow ourselves and allow each other to have the freedom to be who they are, and a space free of judgment or expectation of showing up in a certain way is really helpful, and will allow people to explore their own tools and gifts right now. Because if you give people the space and continue to like open up your body soul resources, it's going to inspire others to meet you higher, as opposed to judging and condemning and damning people for not showing up in a certain way. Makes them close off, not only to you, but to themselves and to their gifts. So a good reminder there. The last thing I see is a lot of purple glittery Swarovski crystals in the sky. And this is just a reminder that this collective, this community that's tapping in here, is everywhere across the globe. And that will only expand with time. I'm seeing certain stars like open up networks of other places, and it's just a gratitude from me and a gratitude for each other. When we tap into different networks, our base of tolerance, our stability changes and steadies, and this is one that will anchor and root us all over the planet. And it's just very cool to have an energetic network, an energetic web that spans far distances in time. It's a really cool way to share and use and feel support and resources on the planet. This is not the only one y'all are tapped into. Just recognize that when you do tap into networks, recognize if they're local, regional, or global, and all three are important to cultivate. It depends on the work that you particularly are doing, when you want to lean into or cultivate or share on certain levels. Okay, that's it. So we're going to tune into 3 different readings today. We've got broccoli, we've got peas, and carrots. So what vegetables, what nourishing, nutrient-rich, mineral-rich vegetables do you want to tune into today? Broccoli, group 1, peas, group 3, or carrots, group 2. Broccoli, group 1, carrots, group 2, or peas, group 3. All right, let's go with broccoli, group 1. Okay, my broccoli loves, I'm seeing a lot of, it's almost like firework energy. What I'm feeling for you is like, ugh, yes. Okay. So if you imagine a stalk of broccoli that has been harvested, it does not have its roots. It does not have its roots. I feel this for you. Let's come back to that in just a moment. But what I see is like coming from the trunk up to the little fronds, we're going to call them. And I see a lot of your energy doing this as you're going down, and it's almost like, I think they're called burpees or like star jumps, where you go down and you crouch like a ball. I think on burpees, you kind of jump your feet out in a push-up position, but you basically crouch down and then you jump up in a star. And I'm feeling a lot of this, of like, this is the energetic that you're doing. You're taking what's at your feet, noted, not what's in the ground. You're taking what's at your feet and you're kind of throwing it up and distributing it. It is also giving me like that confetti emoji, or just like a confetti popper. And the feeling that I get is just like, this is not the reach that you wanted to have. It's like, you wanted the confetti to be, you wanted it to be far more reaching. You wanted to be way more like an umbrella. It feels like the work that you're doing is just kind of raining down upon you and kind of staying in your area, and you're almost just like recycling the same stuff. It's not going to change until you find the right place where you can grow roots again. This is giving the image of like rooting hormone. And sometimes you can take a stalk or a cutting. I don't know if you can do this with broccoli, so we might be switching here a little bit, but you can take a cutting and you can put rooting hormone on it, and then it will help support new roots to grow, and then you can plant that in the ground. And this is just very much the section of life that you need to be in right now. Sometimes when you get root rot, when a plant's roots rot, before that illness can travel up the stalk, up the stem to the frondules and the fruit bearing areas of the plant, it's easier to just cut it off. And try rooting elsewhere, try rooting in a different space. I feel as though you have been in, it's not like it's stagnant soil and it's not like it's bad soil. It's just not the right soil for you at this point in time for the kind of plant that you are. It feels very boggy. It feels very emotional. It feels very wet. It feels very like squishy, like you can hear the water in the earth. Oof. And it's just like, that's great for a bog. That's great for swamp plants. That's really, really good for a certain kind of plant. But you're one that requires like a little bit more fine-tuned balance. A little bit more breathability. You just need a little bit more spaciousness where your roots are. If you're in really wet soil, there's a lot of water in the soil, and there's just like less breathing room. I feel like you just need a little bit more breathing room, and that's totally okay. But if you haven't already queued up in your life where this shift needs to happen, where you're needing to invest your roots in more, start exploring that now, because most of you are in a position where like the root rot hasn't happened yet, but you can feel it at the edges. And I'm almost seeing like one of those plants that, like pothos plants, those heart-shaped leaves, the viney ones that I feel like most people know about, or if not, just Google it, the pothos plant, Pothos. They'll grow roots on parts of the vine, and it's security. It's so this plant, if this tendril is able to find and reach soil in a different space, it can begin rooting there. So it doesn't even just have one base. There are multiple options for this plant to root into the earth. This is going to be massively stabilizing for you as you go through periods of shift and change, not just in yourself, but the environments around you. And with the particular environments that you are in right now. I'm not saying all environments, I'm saying the environments that you are in. I think you're about to go through a number of growth periods where your environments are shifting and changing in beautiful and wonderful ways. But that in between period is just kind of damaging to your psyche. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Nothing else for this group. And go ahead and put my plug in here. Yes, if you resonate with this work and you need or want more one-on-one guidance and support, if this like strikes you and you're like, oh yes, and I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, or I don't know, whatever comes up for you, if you're wanting additional resource, additional information, additional mirroring or energetic guidance, if you want someone, if you want a little bit of a reflection or a mirror to help see yourself more clearly as you navigate these shifts and changes, my books are currently open. I work with people all over the world on Zoom, and I'd be happy to work with you, because my heart sings when we are all in our places of business, when we're all doing our energetic work in a way that feels comfortable and aligned for us, because I love it. Okay. Thanks, sweet broccolis. Let me know how you feel. Okay. Group two. This is carrots. All right, let's tune in, y'all. Oh my goodness. Okay, I see a lot of like gold light, like gold sparkles, almost like kind of like Cinderella sparkles, but those were more blue. This is more gold, warm light. I feel like action is happening, like a sparkler, or it's just like a lot of excitement, a lot of focused energy, very electric, very like you can almost hear the static in the air. And then I see this, like, it's almost like it's time for harvest. At the time I'm making this, it is October, the very beginning of October, and it's fall. But whenever this may find you, because we have our own seasonal cyclical rhythms, you're in this, like, it's like this harvest time. It's just like things are sparking and ready to go off. I see as this carrot like comes out of the ground as a root vegetable. It's like doing this dance. It's like doing this silly, like 1920s, 1940s cartoon era. It looks like it's got Mickey Mouse hands and feet, you know, and it's doing this like very like singing in the rain, show tunes, performance energy. So I just feel like you are really you've been underground for a while. I feel like you are coming into your own, and it's just like the song and dance that's at the beginning of a program, right? Like if someone has a talk show or something and it's like the entrance theme song and they like come out on stage and they're like, hello, it is me, da 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 da, and that might not be the whole program, right? It usually isn't, but it may be. Some of you may be teaching tap dancing or something like that, right? But even if it's a talk show program, and most of the time is going to be spent sitting or, you know, standing on the ground, just like a very different experience. And now I'm seeing a lot of you as like practitioners of the land, or shepherds, shepherdesses of the land, people who are like holding attention to the earth, whether that's literally or if that's something that's just important to your heart, and you help people hold attention and intention around and about and on the land that they stand on. A lot of respect to indigenous cultures, ways of life, types of knowing. I just feel a lot of attention there. And with this transition that we're experiencing globally, collectively, sometimes we need a little razzmatazz and a little pizzazz to get people's attention when orienting them to a new, an important, or a deep or difficult topic. And land holding is one of those topics. For some of us, it's very easy to tune in. For others, it's more difficult to get attention. And so I want to encourage you here that even though you're feeling yourself doing like, there's no business like show business, you know, this very over the top, ham it up, that's not your whole message. And in fact, that's not your message at all. It's okay to lean into that and know that your integrity is safe. It's okay to try that on, and it's okay to have fun with that. And also know that the time that's coming, the education that's coming, the presence that's coming through your form in, you know, in due time and in no uncertain ways and measures is going to be very serious, and it's going to be very intentional. It doesn't have to be like stone cold killer serious, but yeah, just remind yourself, like, yeah, have fun with it. Have fun with it. Try on this costume and know that it's in service to the greater good. Okay. This is another thing that feels important for you right now is trying on different hats. And while this may be literal hats for some of you, because the 3D does reflect the 5D so well. So if you're ever in these messages and things are coming through and you're having a hard time on the energetic level of it, tune into the 3D, the physical, tangible stuff that's coming through. Because one templates the other, you know, if we're having a hard time getting into a certain energetic, we use 3-dimensional tools. So going to a thrift store or like going to your closet or going to your friend's closet and trying on different hats is helpful for you. Do it. But energetically speaking, what you need to be doing right now is trying on different roles and responsibilities. If nothing else, but to inventory the options of what's out there, because I feel like you are a stage director and you're going to be referencing this library of roles quite often, and it's so much more helpful to pass those roles out intelligently when you have a working understanding of what they are. Coming up for you will be learning how to recognize patterns that people present. And I'm not saying that we're going to be locking people into identities based on historical patterns. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that our energetic intelligence is going to be recognizing signatures. It's going to be recognizing energetic fingerprints in other people that gives us information as to what work that they have come here to do. This is one case where I want you to have some separation between the 3D and the 5D, or the energetic realm, because they are different. We can assume information in energetic forms that don't translate as literally to 3D. 3D can translate to energetic far more easily than energetic can translate to 3D. 3D is a lot more limiting. Energetics are expansive, and when we take from our limiting thing and grow from there, it's a lot more appropriate than taking from expansion and trying to put it into a box. So that's on your horizon. On your horizon is going to be, you will be receiving teachings in the coming months. You're not there yet, but I know you like to know what's coming, and I do too. But you will be recognizing people's habits and patterns on the energetic realm and giving them the tools they need, and if not the tools, the positions, the roles. If you're a hiring manager, this would be quite a literal sense of like, you'll be able to see people and plug them into the right places. And a lot of you will know how to do this without knowing how you know how to do this. And I need you to just trust it, okay? Because there's something larger at play. You've been put in this temporary role for a reason. I don't feel like you have always been in this role. I do feel like you've had it before, but it's not something that's intrinsic to your role or responsibility as it has been for the past 5, 10, 15 years. It's maybe something that you dabbled in far before that. Okay, coming with this role and in accordance with these hats that you're going to be trying on and inventorying for yourself is I want you to start revisiting or just recognizing the tools that you have worked with before and clearing out the ones that you are needing to pass on to other people and queuing up the ones that you're going to use again. Just put them in the right places on the shelf, right? Keep the ones that are meant to continue growing with you, that whose potency is only deepening with you and that needs to deepen with you. Put that in a place where, put those in an easily accessible place, but in a box, in a place where only your energy is really touching that space, because these gifts are growing with you specifically, because they have more to teach you. They really need to be tuned to your energetic form. If this is you and you work with crystals and tarot cards or even instruments, right? And you're deepening your relationship with the ukulele, right? And you have lots of instruments. Like, you can let other people borrow other instruments or play, and it's fine to share those, but you know that your ukulele or this specific tarot deck or these 3 crystals are ready to deepen their relationship with you and are ready to call you into deeper service. Those need to be set aside, because the cleaner they are energetically, it's just, that's the way it needs to be. The more easily it goes, the more you can see what's yours and not yours, the more their messaging can come through tuned to your energetic form, because so much information comes through in our touch, in our fingerprints, in our energetic DNA. The gifts that you are queuing up to pass on to new homes, don't feel like you're done with those forever. Just recognize that for a time, these are going to be more expansive when held in other people's hands. It's going to be activating others in a certain way, but it's also going to be honing them in on particular skills that you have developed on your own, that they need to like kind of use that web on, right? So like, let's say this, I'm seeing like a tuning fork, right? And you've worked with tuning forks in the past. This is one tool that you don't need right now. You're going to pass it on to someone else when the time is right, when it's clear, when it moves from your shop that you're selling it, doesn't, plug it in how it makes sense. But that individual, it's not just about the tuning fork for them. It's about the specific network that you had. It's about maybe the food you were eating at that time when you were studying with that object, or it's about the media that you were consuming or the headspace that you were in. There's other energies that specific tuning fork holds that has nothing to do with tuning forks or the work that's done with them. But it's that kind of prepackaged network that the other is seeking out. So don't be discouraging people to not get the tuning fork if they're not interested in working with tuning forks. If they just want it, let them have it, okay? You got this. Yeah, not to be blunt, but that just feels important. And I do recognize your habit path propensity to be very mindful of who, where, and how your objects are passed on. This is so helpful. It's been very clean and keeping your energy right, but it's time to let that go. That was a season of learning that is good for you, but is something that can be outsourced now. Like, the universe is ready to pick that up. It just wanted you to be aware of it, so that way, they say with entrepreneurs, it's always really good to do it first yourself, so you know how to recognize when someone's doing that well or doing it poorly, and then there comes a time when you can pass it and you can just trust, right? This is a time to pass it and just trust, right? you always have that skill to fall back on, but right now you need to pass it off to someone like the universe who's so much better at managing how things are opened and closed, how energetics are conserved, preserved, and reallocated. All right, I think that's enough. Is there anything else left for this group? Carrots. Yes, okay. The thing I see also now is like I see a bunch of carrots all in a row. They almost look like, not necessarily showgirls or flappers, but like, you know how they get in like a kick line? I'm seeing this energy. And this season of linking arms, it very much feels like Red Rover, send so-and-so on over. And just the strength of standing arm in arm with your comrades, arm in arm with your sisters. Not just standing next to them, but linking. And there feels like there's this necessity to physically show your unions as barriers or as connections. And this message of like, nothing can slip between me and this person. No trickery, no, nothing can slip through this space because we are linked, right? And it almost is like a deterrent. Just like, yeah, padlocks can be clipped off of doors, but just seeing that there's a padlock there is going to take away like 60 to 90% of the people who would consider opening that door, interfering in that space, just because it's like, ugh, they don't have bolt cutters on them, or you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah. And there is something to there is something to be scared of here. And it's not death or mortality, it's about separation from self. And if you fear the separation of self through other, or vice versa, the separation of other through self, it's not something that you need to fear here, because I'm seeing when you link arms, it's just like the neural pathway connects. It's like instead of two separate individual people, there's a percentage of your organism that turns over to the collective between the two of you. It doesn't override, it's not meant to override your individual beingness, because your individual beingness is always most accurate when it is in concert with the true light of others and the technologies that are available to you. When Apple operating systems versus like developer operating systems like PCs or Linux, which I'm not super familiar with, but basically the thing that I understand is Apple doesn't give you a ton of options to customize things because they don't want you to break it, right? They don't want you to go in and change a little setting and have a broken operating system or something that is clunky, is not working right. And then once you have a lot of know-how, then you might, if you're a developer and you know how these things work inside and out and can fix any problems that you break, that's when you start messing with Linux or whatever, these more complex, customizable operating systems. As far as this technology of experiencing self in the body, but also source-held collective in the body, this technology is so new to you that they're giving you the Apple version. You can't F it up, right? So trusting that at this point in time, and it won't always be that way, you'll be upgraded to a more developer-friendly interface when you have more of a handle of it. But right now, what you're experiencing in your life, in this kick line of carrots, of individuals, of comrades, of sisters, of practitioners, of healers, of people that you're working with, you don't have to keep eyes on the whole collective. You have to keep eyes on who you're standing next to and the person that you're linking arms with, because that's where the bioavailable energy is getting exchanged, is like where your skin touches or where your fields intersect. And this is an important technology to begin to use and understand, because if you tuned into the beginning, for the collective message, this is part of that resource sharing. This is where that resource sharing can happen easily, equitably, and fairly, because that's new technology, right? That's new, and it's also anciently old, right? It's the way that plants do things. It's the way that aspen trees still do things. It's the way that networks of rhizomes and root structures share resources and reallocate them to where they need to go. And it's about group participation. So you don't have to have the same kind of worries and boundaries up that you would in a different circumstance or situation, right? Okay. Yes. All right. I think that's it for this group. I'm going to put in my little plug of, if this resonates and makes sense to you. If it doesn't, right? Especially if it doesn't, but you feel that it's for you or that it's somehow true, if there needs to be clear explanation on how this integrates into your particular life, or if you're confused and you're like, I think this fits, I don't know if it does, like, and you want to work one-on-one, that's available to you. Like, get to my website, book in, and we can tune into your specific soul record and see if this template works for you, in what ways, and with any or what adjustments need to be made. So reach out if that's you. Okay, thank you, group 2. Let me know how it's going. This sounds really cool. I'm excited for this technology myself when that comes down the pipe for me. Okay, I'm already in it. Okay, thank you. All right, group 3, peas in a pod, group 3. Actually, this doesn't look like peas in a pod. It looks like shelled peas that are out on a plate. It looks like, what are peas always with? They're with corn and carrots, I feel like often. It's like the medley. Ugh, okay, and I'm feeling this energy of just like, again, it's just like, you know, when you have canned peas and corn and carrots, it just feels like the most, it's not baby food, but it feels like baby food 2.0, or like toddler food, or I don't know, there's something that's so approachable, that's so not bland, but like everything is kind of the same consistency and texture. It's very accessible. It's very accessible nutrient wise. And I feel like you get mixed up in your head about this sometimes, of the offerings that you have are bland. Like the fear is like, my offerings are bland, or my offerings are elementary, or, you know, I'm seeing now like, why are we going back to carrots again? There's a lot of comparison that happens in this group, y'all. Okay, I'm seeing like carrots, which was another group, that are like, oh my gosh, I had these carrots one time at forestry camp in Asheville, North Carolina, and they were the best carrots, legit, I had in my entire life. I don't even know what they did to them. They were soft, but still, it was just exquisite. I've never had such elevated carrots, like truly, just like, what is it? Amuse-bouche is just like to tease the palate. It was the most delectable palate. It was such a good carrot. I feel like you want to be there. I feel like you want to be the Ferrari. I feel like you want to be like zoom, zoom, super fast. The And it's like, sister, brother, mother, honey, that's not for you. You know why? Because you're not about exclusivity. I'm sorry, but you have been about fairness and equality and accessibility and reparations and scaffolded support for people and places that have not had support in the past. And it feels really messed up when you are an adult and you need scaffolding like one would give to a 4, 5, 6-year-old child, right? But many of us are there right now. Many of us are learning emotional regulation tools and tactics and just how to sit with big feelings in the same way that had we been taught that when we were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, things would be different. And often a lot of times, like now, we are teaching that to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, right? And the special part of your service that makes it so delectable and incredible, even if you're looking at it like it's peas, corn, and carrots from a can, is that it has to be attractive and marketable or accessible to complex adults, right? I don't care what your emotional intelligence is at. Adults are complex because we have lived lives and been shaped by years of experience. And so even if we are operating with some remedial or more elementary ways of operating and living our lives, it does not mean that we don't want to be catered to like the adults that we are. So put your judgment up, right? And look at these peas, corn, and carrots like you're on a cooking show, right? Like you're on Top Chef, or like you're in The Bear, right? Or like you're at a really intentional and important restaurant that's trying to teach full-grown adults how to be present with themselves and how to show up for the child within. And the only way that you're going to do that is by capturing that audience with something that still interests them. So I'm seeing like, it might be the same thing, but it's just done a different way, right? It's little peas and corn and carrots that are all the same size, but like composed a different way, like grilled over, like char grilled or something, or there's special seasoning on them, or there's an aioli sauce, or there's like they're pureed and reconstituted. I don't know. Like, have fun with it, sis. Have fun with it, brother. And have fun with it, honey. Like, how would you want to be eating your peas, corn, and carrots? How do you want to do that? How do you like to do that? And I bet you that if you're not already like, wow, how offensive that you think this is elementary, that's not the case. If you're not already jazzed on peas, corn, and carrots, I know you have a way. I know that you have been before, and I want you to maybe not get back to that place, but I want you to bring that excitement into this present moment, because it's still important. It's still a foundational activity. It's still a foundational necessity to be healthy, functioning, maybe not to be functioning, but to be healthy humans who can enjoy our lives. Okay, to branch this out, whether you are a service provider, whether you provide goods, I feel like a lot maybe about physical goods and tangible items. So much about nostalgia core or nostalgia culture is about returning to the safety of childhood. If not the actual safety, the perceived safety of childhood. So many of us need to feel that support and structure from our families, whether it was real or not, whether it was actually there or if it was an illusion. That's the energetic that you're gifting people. And if it's not about that, I think for a certain segment of your clientele, I think that's the overall of what you usually offer, is you offer people a reminder into the past, and like helping bring a past energetic to the present that encourages them and empowers them to being more present with themselves, and to reminding them that they have love and support at this period of their lives. But there's also a segment of your audience that needs access to that point in time because there's unresolved trauma, because there's unresolved history, because there's something that's not quite right, that doesn't sit or like click in quite as it should, and they're needing an access point to that. And so in that frame of light, you're providing a good, or maybe a service of that gives people the handle to a doorway, to a room that they have been looking for and searching for, that now they have the ability to clean up and reorganize, given the skills and intelligence and behaviors that they have now as an adult. They can bring that to that child space. And it really is, you're doing a world of good work, right? You're doing the Lord's work. And they want to tell you that I'm here for the message to come through, that you need to know the value of what you're doing. In your case, it's not enough to just keep doing it. You have to know what's being done, because you carry it differently. If you're carrying a grocery bag that you know there are eggs in, you carry it differently than you carry a shopping bag full of cans of canned goods, right? You need to know that you're carrying eggs. You need to know that you're carrying goods and services, you're shepherding goods and services that need a certain kind of attention. Okay, I feel like that's pretty clear, my friends. I feel like you guys are all good on your own. I will still mention that I have one-on-ones available if you want to tune into your soul's Akashic Record, if you want individual, specific, energetic guidance, but I think that you have what you need right now, and that you'll tune in for more when you're ready. So, Okay, y'all, thank you so much for joining today. Give me just one moment. Let's go ahead and sign out, and we'll get a collective exit. Okay, the last thing I see are like all these vegetables. It's like Veggie Tales almost, or like all these vegetables joining together, and it's like you wouldn't ever see them at the same place, right? They're like different seasons. This is like tomatoes with collards with potatoes, right? They don't even grow in the same season, right? They have different hardinesses, they have different shelf lives. They are, and it's just, yes, okay. So to connect with the opening thing on the network of who is here and tuning into this, there are a lot of, it's such a blessing to have this kind of diversity. It's such a blessing in spirit and also in trust to have this kind of diversity, because in a world where belief systems are just, we're being pushed to tout and to divide based on our belief systems. So we're being taught to hold our beliefs up high and then to divide ourselves based on our belief systems. And oh my gosh, my loved ones, we don't need to do this, because guess what? We're all fruits and vegetables. And while differentiation and individualism can be so good and helpful, and finding representation can be so empowering, and recognizing your reflection in others can bring humanity to us all, we have to remember that we are going to find a reflection of ourselves in literally every human being on the planet and beyond human beings. Every animate and inanimate object, everything that's living and non-living, we are going to find a reflection, a piece of ourselves there. And I need you to tune into that energy. It's necessary to tune into that energy. Must have alert, must be alert. And along that note, correct, of sounding the alarm when we find things that are different or separate from us, it's just still important to do. And to find that we're connected. Thanks, y'all.